Hey everybody, I'm Nick Layton.
And I'm Leah Bottima.
And we're the hosts of Were You Raised by Wolves?
Each week we try to make the world a kinder, nicer place.
Well, that's the idea, at least.
I mean, we try.
Have you ever wondered what to do if you're ghosted?
Or what to do when a friend asks you to borrow money?
Or the proper way to eat Cheetos?
You know, the big questions.
So please find Were You Raised by Wolves wherever you listen.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Hello, welcome to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host and producer, Sherry Bayer, and it is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024, and this is our 384th episode of this series, which is dedicated to behind-the-scenes talent in the hospitality industry. Today, I have a special on-the-road show from Asia's 50 Best Restaurants, which took place in Seoul, South Korea, and yes, I was there. And it was my first time in Seoul and at Asia's 50 Best, and it was a true thrill. I have several interviews on the show today with chefs who were recognized at the awards, and a few of them are featured in my ChefWise book, and I was meeting them for the first time at the awards, so that was really exciting. But first, as I do on every show, I will start out with my PR tip, and then I will share my interviews, which have a couple speed rounds and include a final question, and I will close out with my solo dining experience. So as the founder of Bayer Public Relations, I'm going to tip the show off with my PR tip of the week. So today's tip is to seek collaborations. Yes, look for ways to team up with others, whether it's a one-time gig or a longer commitment, and enjoy combining your skills and talents together. There can be much benefit in working with others, whether you typically are part of a team or run solo. Not only may you come up with new ideas, create unique experiences, and learn something, but you may, or shall I say, you will, most likely have a lot of fun. So be open to collaboration. It's totally worth it. That's my tip today. Okay, so as I mentioned, today's show is an on-the-road special from Asia's 50 Best Restaurants, which took place in Seoul, South Korea. And the award ceremony itself was on March 26, 2024, and it was at the Grand Intercontinental Seoul Parnis. So Asia's 50 Best Restaurants is a part of the world's 50 Best Restaurants, and it includes components of the world's 50 Best, such as the 50 Best Talks and 50 Best Signature Sessions, as well as many parties and events taking place the few days ahead of the awards ceremony. And I had attended the 50 Best in Valencia last June, and then Latin America's 50 Best in Rio in November. So I had more of a sense of how things played out. But again, this was my first time at Asia's 50 Best and in Seoul. So it was all new and fresh and super exciting. And I went to the 50 Best Talks, which took place at the Four Seasons Hotel in Seoul. And the theme of that was Food of the People. And two of the chefs who I spoke with, who are on today's show, were speakers at the 50 Best Talks. So you'll be hearing more about that. And the 50 Best Signature Sessions, which are largely collaboration dinners, took place at lots of restaurants around the city. And we talk about that on this show. And it was just really special to be there. I got to experience Seoul and Korean cuisine and culture and dine very well. I went to several restaurants that were on Asia's 50 Best list and popular spots in Seoul, and that was really wonderful. And I was also able to connect with many chefs that are in my ChefWise book, who are from all over the region and in some parts of the world that I have not been to, such as Taiwan and Malaysia and India. So it was really wonderful to meet chefs who I had only known by name or by email. And I was just grateful to have the opportunity to be there. So thank you to Asia's 50 Best, and congratulations to everyone involved in the production and the amazing award celebration. It was pretty spectacular, and it is so well produced. And the video team or broadcast team for Asia's 50 Best and World's 50 Best are just phenomenal. They do such an amazing job. And I'll share one thing that they do. So at the awards ceremony, at the opening reception, they have their team videoing the red carpet and step and repeat and the party before we sit down at the awards ceremony. And the first thing they do, once everyone is seated, they show a video of clips from the reception that we were all at literally 10 minutes earlier. And it is so well done and put together. I was just in awe. And they capture highlights of the whole reception with so many chefs who receive awards. So congratulations. It's very impressive. And then the ceremony ran the same way as they do at the World's 50 Best, and I guess all of the 50 Best, where they have one host who announces all of the awards starting from 50 down to the number 1 spot. And all the chefs stay in their seats, but when their names are called, they stand up, they wave at the cameras, and it goes by really quickly. There are some special awards given out where some of the chefs went up on the stage and took a bow. And there weren't any speeches except for the recipient of the number 1 spot, which was Daniel Calvert of Seoul in Tokyo. And I have an interview with him coming up, so I'm excited about that. And he spoke at the very end, right before the post-ceremony reception, because yes, there was a pre-ceremony reception and a post-ceremony reception. Of course, that was also captured by the outstanding broadcast team, and they do an awesome job on social media as well. And you can follow at the World's 50 Best and hashtag Asia's 50 Best. Okay, so before we get to my interviews, I just want to give a shout out to Chef-Wise chefs who were honored at the awards, because I'm super proud of all of these contributors to my book and excited for them. So the chefs include Gagan Anand of Gagan Anand in Bangkok, which received the number 3 spot on the list. And I had been to his original restaurant in Bangkok many years ago, but I haven't been to his new restaurant, so I hope to get there one day. And next to Julian Roer of Odette in Singapore, which received the number 10 spot on the list, and I had an amazing solo New Year's Eve dinner celebration at his restaurant several years ago as well, and that was the first time I met Julian, and it was really spectacular. I'm very grateful for that experience and all of my travel experiences. Very lucky that I get to travel and go to these amazing restaurants. So also coming up on the show, I have interviews with Chef-Wise chefs who were on the list, and that includes Yoshihiro Narasawa of Narasawa in Tokyo at number 14. And at number 15, Dave Pint of Burnt Ends in Singapore. And at number 24, Jordi Navarra of Toyo Eatery in Manila, the Philippines. And at number 34, in Taiwan, Richie Lin of Mumei. So I have interviews and a little more explanation of those coming up. And finally, at the number 51 spot, it went to La Effervescence, which is Shinobu Name's restaurant in Tokyo, which I haven't been to yet. And I didn't see him at the awards. I don't think he was there unless I just missed him. But I hope to get to his restaurant in Tokyo one day and meet him in person. And big congratulations to everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to share a little more about the interviews coming up. First, I speak with Peter Quang Franklin of Anand Saigon in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, currently number 48 on this year's list. I've not been to Vietnam. Can't wait to go. It was really cool to talk to Peter. He was a part of the 50 Best Talks, and he gave a great presentation, and we'll talk about that. So we did this interview at the 50 Best Talks, which took place a day ahead of the awards. And then I spoke with Yoshihiro Narasawa of Narasawa in Tokyo, Japan. As I mentioned, the number 14 spot on the list, and he's number 51 on the 2023 World's 50 Best list. I was able to dine there many years ago. I had a lunch there with my friend Piche Ong, and that was extraordinary. And we did this interview at the Shilla Hotel before the chef's feast that he was going to. And his son Leo kindly interpreted for us because Yoshihiro doesn't speak a lot of English and I don't speak Japanese. So Leo, thank you for interpreting. And then at the awards, I spoke with Dave Pint of Burnt Ends in Singapore, as I mentioned, the number 15. And I'd been to his restaurant many years ago. Same trip when I went to Odette, but it was my first time meeting him. I think I saw him from a distance when I was at his restaurant, but I did not get to chat with him then. So it was exciting to talk with him. And I also spoke with Jordi Navarra of Toyo Eatery in Manila, the Philippines. And again, number 24. And I haven't been there yet, but it was really great to meet Jordi. And then we're going to go to 2 interviews that I did remotely post-awards once I got back to New York City and was still dealing with a little jet lag, to be honest. And the 2 chefs were on the other side of the world, and we had wonderful conversations about their experiences at Asia's 50 Best and about their careers. And the first one is with Daniel Colvert of Cezanne in Tokyo, who received the number 1 spot on Asia's 50 Best list, which I previously mentioned, and is currently on the World's 50 Best list 2023 at number 37. And the awards for this year for the World's 50 Best are coming up in Las Vegas in June. So we'll see how the 2024 list goes. But huge congratulations to Daniel. I've not been to Cezanne. It opened in 2021, as we talk about on the show. And it's spectacular that he and his team got the number 1 spot on the list. So I have an interview with him coming up. And then finally, we're going to close things out with Richie Lin of Mumei in Taiwan. And again, he received the number 45 spot on the list. I haven't been to Taiwan, was excited to chat with him. And we wrap things up with a final question for my next guest. And Daniel and Richie have speed rounds. So I know you like my speed rounds, or I like my speed rounds, I should say. So that's what's coming up. The first few interviews are shorter. The last 2 with Daniel and Richie are a bit longer. So the show is a bit longer than my typical shows. It's going to be over an hour and a half. But I will take a break after the interviews, and then I will come back with my solo dining experience and wrap things up. Thank you to all the chefs who took time to speak with me, and congratulations to all of you and to everyone on the list and part of this amazing awards celebration. I, again, was thrilled to be a part of it. So here are my chef interviews from Asia's 50 Best Restaurants 2024. Please enjoy.
My name is Peter Goong Franklin. I'm the chef and founder of Ang Ang Saigon in Ho Chi Minh City. And we do modern Vietnamese food, street food inspired into fine dining. Currently, we are the one and only Michelin-star restaurant in Ho Chi Minh City.
Amazing.
On 50 Best, we are the only restaurant from Vietnam on the Asia 50 Best restaurant.
Wow. When did you first get on the list?
We got on 40 years ago, 2001.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
2021. Sorry.
2021.
Four
okay,
years ago.
4 years
Yes,
ago.
4 years ago.
That's amazing. And when did the restaurant open?
The restaurant opened 7 years ago. I had a restaurant in Hong Kong before. I used to live in the U.S. My previous life was investment banking. Then about 12 years ago, I decided, okay, I'm going to follow my passion. My family is actually, my mother has a small noodle shop in Vietnam. I finally said, okay, maybe it's time to do something new, follow my passion. And then I moved back to Vietnam 7 years ago. to open Nang Ang Saigon.
That's amazing. When you first got on the 50 best list
Yes.
in 2021, how did that impact your restaurant?
Well, I think a lot of people didn't know what 50 Best was, so particularly in Vietnam, but it certainly brought a lot of more international guests to come to Vietnam. Certainly, Vietnam is kind of on the map in terms of the World 50 Best basis, because there are people that kind of travel based upon that. So it went up, I would say a lot, maybe 20, 30%. Then it got stabilized a bit. Michelin set up Vietnam only last year, 2023. Once we became the only restaurant in Saigon, which is the biggest city in Vietnam, with that has a Michelin star, and that's really driving up the business another level. So at this point, we are so full every night. The Vietnam economy is very strong. Tourism becoming very strong as well too. So at this point, it would take at least a 2 to 4 week waiting time now to get into our restaurant.
Well, that's why I'm doing this interview, so I have a connection.
Yes.
No, because I would love to visit. I have not been to Vietnam yet.
It's a very exciting place right now. I think I've been there now. I was born in Vietnam originally, but I moved to the U.S. I was adopted in the U.S. by an American family.
Nice.
Then I worked in investment banking. Then I had 2 restaurants in Hong Kong. Then I moved back to Vietnam about 7 years ago. But since 7 years I've been there, in terms of the hospitality business and bars and restaurants have improved a lot in terms of its quality. Because I think in the past, people look at Vietnam as, really good street food, but they think it should be cheap, inexpensive. They only want to pay $1, $2 for banh mi or pho. So part of our mission in Saigon is really to take Vietnamese cuisine and elevate that and let people know that it is possible to have fine dining Vietnamese, just like you would have French or Japanese and so on.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I really would love to come visit.
Yes, please do.
High on the list.
Please do.
So we're here at Asia's 50 Best Restaurants.
Yes.
And we just wrapped up the 50 Best Talks.
Yes,
We gave a presentation.
Right.
You want to talk a little about that?
I think, part of our mission as well too is really, bring Vietnamese cuisine into the global stage. And I think having Anh Saigon and us represent Vietnam, we're the only one here, to let people know that Vietnam, we're part of the fine dining scene. And I think particularly today we talk about fermentation across Asia, which is a very important area now. It's a very old technique, but a lot of restaurants, let's say Noma, for example, is doing garum. They have own lab. We have a small lab too, so we play with different types of fish sauce. We play with chili sauce, allow us to essentially create new ingredients that we can use for a lot of our dishes. So it's wonderful to be in Seoul to see what the other restaurants in Seoul is doing, what other restaurants in Asia are doing, and sometimes also networking with the other chef also too.
Yeah.
So that, for example, I just met one chef from Korea. In about 3 weeks time, we'll bring him to Vietnam. He does kind of like modern Korean, so we can mix modern Korean with modern Vietnamese. I'm planning to do like a Vietnamese style modern pho, but we're using the Han Wu beef, for example, which is very special. It's almost akin to Wagyu. A lot of people don't know about this, but it's a very special ingredient.
Wonderful. Yeah, with one of the talks today talking about collaborations as the future. And I was thinking, yes, I keep seeing more and more collaborations with chefs. And I think she was right on with that.
Yes.
And I went the other night to a restaurant here called Seventh Door.
Okay, yes,
and
right, yes.
They had
a couple of events there last night, yes.
Yeah, they focus on fermentation.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's very important.
It's a
I think
hot topic.
fermentation is very hot. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. During COVID, when either the restaurant were closed or we could not open all the time, we actually spent a lot of additional time on fermentation because fermentation requires time, love and time. So we were able to develop a couple of very special products during that process that's part of our menu that we use it to create new dishes.
Amazing. So, okay, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to see you tomorrow night at the ceremony.
Looking forward to that.
You're currently, you were telling me,
We're
number
currently
40
number 40 on
the list?
Asia 50 Best. So part of the excitement. It's kind of like the Oscars of the food world. And so we're going to be in this big ballroom, and there's a lot of excitement. And then to find out, are you one of the 50 best on the list in Asia? And then what number are you? So that's going to be very exciting tomorrow.
Well, I'm excited to just be here, and I'll be rooting for you wherever you are on the list. I think it's a huge honor to be a part of this.
It is.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I will see you tomorrow, and
Tomorrow
also
night.
hope to see you soon in Vietnam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
My name is Yoshihiro Narisawa.
And when did you open Narisawa?
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah. Wow. And what was the initial concept when you opened, and how has the restaurant changed since the beginning?
ね、変わってきた。それを説明する。そうだね。まあちょっとじゃあ訳してね。今からそうだね。まあ15年ぐらい前から、まあ完全にその里山、日本の里山をテーマにしたレストランに変わりました。
So since I would say like 15 years ago, I shifted my concept to something we call it as the innovative Satoyama cuisine, something that focusing on the Satoyama culture in Japan. That is something that I have changed 15 years ago.
Well, I dined at your restaurant in 2015. Mm-hmm. I had lunch with Pichet Ong, pastry chef. It was phenomenal. What does it mean for you to be on the world's and the Asia's 50 best list? Like, when did you first get on the list?
I think it was on the first time Asia 50 Best came out.
Okay.
I think the World 50 was happening in 2009, and then the Asia 50 Best, when the first Asia 50 Best was launched, we were fortunate to receive the first place, I believe. Yeah, the first Asia 50 Best was we were ranked into the first place. That's
amazing.
Thank you. But I think we believe it's 2013. We'll check our bio.
Okay. Well, the question is, how did that impact your restaurant or any other accolades? Did it change the busyness of the restaurant or the clientele coming, or all of a sudden you had more tourists or people, visitors?
エイジア50にランクインしてから、お店のなんていうんだろう、客層だったりとか、お店にどういうふうな影響を与えましたか？
まあそうね、ワールド50にランクインされた後と前っていうのが、前からずっとやっぱり海外のお客様が非常に増えてきて、本当に自然な形でワールド50に入ったっていう感じだね。
で、どのように変わったかっていう。
やっぱりますますこう世界中からお客さんが来るようになった。
So since before and after, like somewhere around when we first ranked it into the World 50 Best, we would say like we had a quite good amount of the international guests coming in, and we kind of like naturally got into the World 50 Best. Fortunately, from that influence, I believe, and then. But obviously, like after the rank was announced, we had more customer coming worldwide, international like travelers, like foodies, coming down at Narisawa. So that was the main impact that we felt.
Very cool. And here now, have you been many times to Seoul? Is this a place you know very well?
もう年数で調べてる。
来たことある。で、その過去にどういうふうに来た？よく来るの？
ちょうど去年だね。去年初めてね。
Yeah, the first time himself and I came was last year actually. Even though we're really close. We just didn't happen to come, but we came last year for one of the events called Taste of the Soul, which is like one of the food. I don't say the festival, but like some sort of thing organized by the government in Seoul. And we did one dinner together with the local chef, and then and we're back in here this time. So second time. He came ね、一回その前に。
そうだね、今回のディナーの下見のためというか、
so we actually had this. Yeah, we had a signature session last night, and then in order to do that, he came like a month ago, just alone, to kind of like search and find some local ingredients, what is seasonal, what is trend, and then he came here for just like 2 days. Because like we're 2 hours away, so and spend 2 days here and then kind of like dine around, and so for him it's the third time here in Seoul.
Nice. And talk a little about the dinner you did last night, the collaboration, the restaurant it was with, and how you guys worked together on the menu. Did you each do different courses, or did you collaborate on dishes together?
昨日どこのお店でやってそういうどういう感じの風にメニューを構成していったの？
このホテル、シーラホテルのメインダイニングであるライオン、で、やりました。
So we did the dinner events where we're at right now, the Sheila Hotel. We did it at the restaurant called Lion. And then the way we built the menu was something that we do separately and one by one each dishes. So one from Narisawa, one from Lion, and one from Narisawa. And then we do that back and forth and then created the menu. But we had a lot of meetings together remotely with them. So.
Yeah, well, I saw some pictures. It looked fantastic. And so tonight, it's the chef's feast. Are you preparing a dish for that? Or
No.
No, you're just going to it. You're attending.
The chefs,
okay, the chefs. You're going to enjoy. And then tomorrow is the ceremony. And you're currently on the list as number 10 from last year's. So what does it mean for you to be here at these awards? And how important are accolades to you? Or is it more being a part of the community? Or what does this mean to you to be here at Asia's 50 Best?
やっぱり一番その喜び嬉しいのは、こんなにね一堂にシェフたちが集まることなくて会えること会ってこうお互いのに元気を確かめられるっていうのが一番の喜び。
I think like one of the biggest joy and the mean for myself with this award is like, gather with all the international chefs at the same time, at the same place, which is something that we cannot happen like, daily basis, obviously. So, just to see them and say hi and then, see their faces and like, just catching up with them is something that I appreciated the most here.
Yeah, that's the sense I get because I've been on a 50 Best tour this year because I went to Valencia for the world's 50 Best, and then I was at Latin America's 50 Best in Rio, and I love seeing the chefs getting together just to celebrate each other, to celebrate the industry and the community of it. So I get that. It's really wonderful. So I'm going to let you go to the party, but before I do, you're in my new book, Chef Wise, which I'm so grateful for. And anyone can get the book and read all your advice. But for this podcast, what is your top advice for inspiring young cooks or anyone that might want to be a chef?
将来シェフにね、なる人たち、若い世代に何かアドバイス。
そうね。大変なこともいっぱいあるし複雑、やるべきことは複雑というかね、項目が多いと思うけど最終的には人を喜ばせて人に喜んでもらえてこれで仕事が成り立つっていうことはすごく幸せな仕事だっていうことを自分のその存在自分でそれをこう表現して感じてもらいたい。 ぜひこういう素晴らしい仕事にはついてもらいたい。
So obviously, just being the chef is something that requires a lot of work. It's a very complex, and then there's a lot of things to learn and do to be a chef and then to being a chef. But at the end, this is one of the job that you can make people happy and smile, and that's something that yourself will feel happy from it. And then from my existence of being the chef, we would like the younger generation to feel that in a way, and to be in like such a place like this now. I just want the new generation, younger generation to be, be a chef, as much as possible. So.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much. Honored to be here with you, to have you part of my book, to have been to your restaurant. I can't wait to come back. I'm coming to Tokyo. So congratulations on everything you've achieved. You're amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, Dave Pint.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Dave Pint from Burnt Ends. One of my favorite restaurants, really, in the world. I loved my meal there, and I want to come back.
When are you going to come back?
Soon, I hope.
It's
really,
way though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I mean, Singapore. There was a lot of wins today, or a lot of people from Singapore on the top 50.
Very, very strong showing in Singapore.
Yeah, I compare to years in past, but Singapore did very well here at Asia's 50 Best, and so did you. You're now currently ranked
Number 15.
Number 15 is incredible.
Very incredible. Such amazing restaurants on the list, up, down, sideways. So yeah, we're very, very happy to be among such amazing restaurants.
Yeah, what does it mean to you? I mean, what does it do? What does it do for business? Does it bring in customers or guests from around the world being on this list?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a very good platform for announcing who your restaurant is and what you do globally. Especially this award of Asia's 50 Best regionally, it sort of directs a lot of traffic to your door and to your restaurant, which is very good for us.
Yeah, well, and I just mentioned to you, I was talking to someone about Mike's fabulous experience dining there, and they mentioned how you moved locations. So tell me about that. When did you move?
So we moved smack bang in the middle of COVID, and we went from our tiny little restaurant in Teklim Road up to a restaurant about 10 times the size of what we were, but the same number of seats. So we've got a lot more space to do what we do, and hopefully better.
And how often do you change the menu? Is it seasonal or do you have signature dishes that are always on the menu? Or
we have a little bit of both. So there's a little bit of signatures, some that have been on from the very, very start, like the leek hazelnut and brown butter. And then we have stuff that's always constantly rotating through, just from inspiration, whether it's from this trip in Korea or LA or somewhere in Europe or Japan.
Yeah.
And then we also have seasonal favorites, like they come on and you can only get it just in that season, like asparagus, cherry trout and stuff like that. So
Right. Well, that makes sense. And you're part of my Chef Wise book, which I'm so honored to have you in the book. What's your top advice for young aspiring chefs? I mean, people have to get the book to get all of your advice, but as of today, what would you say, top tip?
I think the top tip is work harder and eat more. And I think, the harder you work, the better you're going to get. The more you eat, the more you're going to see what works, what doesn't, what likes, what consumers like, and what's going to make people happy.
Well, fabulous. Last question before I let you get to the party is, where are you eating here in Seoul?
So we did Born and Bred the other night, and we did Mingles for lunch today, and then we've got some hot pot tonight that we're going to hit up before we go to the after party.
All right. Well, I'm 2 for 2. We'll see. Maybe I get invited to the hot pot. But yeah, that's great. I went to Born and Bred the other night, and it was really excellent. And then I heard that you were going in for a collab. I was a little jealous. I wasn't going to be there for it, but
it's a great behind the scenes look at what they do and how they operate for Korean barbecue. So the complete opposite of what you get as a guest, which is pretty amazing.
You get a lot of meat.
So much meat. And I ate that last night. It was a lot.
Yeah,
So-
no, it was a lot of meat, but it was, when in Seoul.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Jordi Navarra.
Yes. Hello. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, congratulations. We're here at Asia's 50 Best Restaurants, and Toyo Eatery
Yes.
just got named number 24.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. We're speechless, and we're just happy to be here, enjoying the moment.
I mean, what does it mean for you to be on the list? Because you, if I'm getting this right, were number 42, so they switched the numbers around for you, which is a nice little jump there and switcheroo. But what is it? I mean, what does it mean for you, to you, and how has it impacted your restaurant being on the list?
I think it's just great recognition from a lot of people. It's like a really nice, good job, where we sort of like the appreciation from everyone, and just really grateful that we get to spend time with the community here and like meet new people and learn new things, experience new culture. I've never been to Seoul before.
Me either. First time. Where have you been eating?
Today we went to Mingo's for lunch.
Nice.
Really, really beautiful meal.
I had dinner there. It was excellent.
Yeah, great time. The next few days we're gonna go to Born and Bred, and then we're also gonna do a bunch of the local food, which we love Korean food. In the Philippines, Korean food's such a big hit.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be here and to experience it firsthand in Seoul.
So, have you always lived in the Philippines?
Yes. I spent some time as a kid growing up in Canada, but also studied there for a bit. Then worked overseas for a bit, then came back. It's always been Manila. For me, it's always been home, and I feel like it's really like the culture that I connect to.
When did your restaurant open?
2016. So this year we're turning 8. We're actually turning 8 on the 29th.
Ooh, well, happy almost birthday.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And for people who haven't been to your restaurant, describe your cuisine.
We're basically Filipino food. For us, it's like our interpretation of Filipino flavors, the ingredients, the techniques, and all mixed in with like Filipino hospitality. So basically, it's like a restaurant about where we're from, what we do, and who we are.
Well, I can't wait to visit. I really, really will be coming soon. I have to figure it out. Before I let you go, what's your top chef advice, being that you're in my Chef Wise book? People can get the book to get all of your advice. But what would you say is like your number one advice for someone who wants to be a chef or restaurateur?
Well, quick one is don't stop learning and don't be discouraged. It's going to be hard, but keep pushing every day. And the more you put into it, the more it'll give back to you.
Fantastic. Well, it's so nice to meet you and be here with you in Seoul. Congratulations, and enjoy the rest of tonight. Go celebrate.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry.
Thank you. So, hello, Daniel Calvert from Cezanne in Tokyo. Welcome to All in the Industry. I'm super excited to be chatting with you today. And huge congratulations on the number one spot on Asia's 50 Best Restaurants. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. It's amazing, and thank you for having me. Happy to talk to you guys in New York. So yeah, it's been a crazy 10 days or so, and so exhausted and tired. And I mean, the restaurant was already full, but now it seems even fuller than before, and it's tired, but very happy, very grateful.
Yeah, I would imagine it was probably impossible to get a seat before, and now it's like super impossible.
Yeah, now you got to sell a kidney or something, something like that.
Well, I want to talk more about the award, but let's go back a little bit with your background. What led you to become a chef? I know you're from England.
Yes, from south of England. Yeah. I don't know why, to be honest, why I became a chef, but I do know since I was about 13, that's what I wanted to do.
and I've never really considered anything else since. It wasn't necessarily based upon food at that point or ingredient or flavor. It was more like a skill and a craft and something I wanted to learn how to do more than the actual product itself, I think. But as time evolves, of course, the skill and the technique and the savoir-faire is actually secondary to enjoying great food. Primary, of course, is the ingredients. I think that after living all around the world and working in some markets where the ingredients were okay, and then some markets where you're importing everything, and then working in some markets like Japan where everything's pristine, it just shows you that that the ingredient is the key. And I don't think that I'm a remarkably more talented chef than I was, say, in Hong Kong, but the ingredients are so good that it's kind of easy money. Once the ingredients are that good, it's just everything falls into place, and you don't have to work so hard to make something beautiful.
Yeah, the ingredients, that's definitely key. So when were you in New York? I saw you had worked at Per Se.
Yeah, I was there for 5 years, and I was there from 2009 until 2014.
Okay.
So a long time ago.
I was here. I live down the block, actually.
Do you? Whereabouts?
I'm on 60th Street. I walk by Per Se or Time Warner Center every day.
Give them away for me next time. Per Se was like one of the best times of my life for sure, and I learned so much and had a great lifestyle. Of course, we worked so much, but the team that we were working around, some of my best friends to this day, Daisy and Greg from Bell's. I'm sure you know Bell's in Los Alamos. They're doing great things down there.
I know of it.
Johnny Black over in Chez Noir in Carmel, I think he is, down in, it's in California, I guess. So there's a lot of good people from that time doing a lot of great things, and we're still very much in touch. Of course, the guys at French Laundry and all that too, but it was a really great time. And I think that at that period, there was a huge number of fantastic people that we used to learn from and work together and discuss and hang out and, that kind of stuff. Great camaraderie.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So what led you to Tokyo?
Well, I lived in Hong Kong for 5 years. But whilst I was living in Hong Kong, I used to visit Tokyo and Japan in general very frequently, maybe like 4 or 5 times a year. Because I always wanted to live in Tokyo. I don't know why. Even before I moved to Hong Kong, I wanted to move to Tokyo. And I felt that before I moved to Tokyo, I had to kind of get an entry level into Asia. And Hong Kong was that entry level. It is a very westernized Asian city. I had never been to Asia before I landed in Hong Kong. And I immediately felt at home. Of course, it was a British colony for many years, and there was a lot of remnants in that, in the people, and I felt very much at home with them. I had no plans to leave, to be honest, but then this project came up to open in Four Seasons, and to open in the Four Seasons in Tokyo, I can't really say no to such an opportunity. And although things were going so well in Hong Kong, the restaurant was fully booked, we number 4, Asia's 50 Best, and Michelin star, that kind of stuff. And so I think my restaurant could have been full forever in Hong Kong and not had to worry about anything. But I did feel like I needed a new challenge, and I had pushed that place as far as I wanted to go. And then, cooking in Japan, you cannot say no.
Yeah, well, I just think like eating in Japan, that's enough for me to be like,
yeah, totally.
No.
The work is just a small detail. I just get to live in Japan.
Yeah, well, I was looking back to when I was in Tokyo, and it was 2015. Okay. So I'm due for a trip, but I've been there once. I loved it. It.
Yeah, it's an amazing city, and it's changed so much since the Olympics, I think. Maybe if it was a little daunting to come visit before, I think now it's a little bit more open to, Westerners coming over, and a little easier to get around. But back then, even 2015 was not quite so straightforward. But come visit.
I need to come visit. So talk a little about your restaurant, what Cezanne is, and you opened in 2021.
Yes.
Which wasn't very long ago to be now at number 1 Asian 50 best list. It's incredible. Yeah.
So I believe that we are the fastest restaurant to ever open and win number 1. which is a remarkable achievement for sure. I mean, that, you know, the restaurants nowadays, there's so much, how to say, there's a lot of stories or character and personality and ethos and USPs about restaurants these days. And I feel like there is a lot of, when people open a restaurant, they have to, you know, they have certain things, checklists they need to go through. So, okay, yeah, we have that story about this. We have the signature dish about that. We have the sense of place about this. And I didn't want to be one of those restaurants where we were, you know, it's just not me. I'm not a storyteller so much, and I just really like to tell the story through the food, I guess, and allow the food to speak. And the way I like to dine is very simple. I like great food, I like great wine, and I like good service. And I wanted to restore that in this industry because I felt that we're starting to get away from it a little bit, and dining is becoming more of a theatre rather than actually dinner. And if we bring it back to what is fundamental about a restaurant, it's dinner. So the fact that we have won this award based upon just operating like a restaurant, I feel pretty proud about that.
What's amazing. How many seats are you?
We've got about 30 seats. We do average about 30, 32 covers, depending on table size. So we're open lunch and dinner. We don't turn tables, of course. We if you have a table, it's your table for the evening or for the lunchtime. We change the menu very frequently, depending on what's at the market. We go to Toyosu Market 2, 3, 4 times a week, whenever I can, to be honest. I try to go there rather than spending too much time in the kitchen. So I'd rather go to the market. And we just find what we want to cook, and if we like it, then we put it on the menu. And if we think it's delicious, then, you know, hopefully other people will too.
Well, apparently lots of people do.
So far, they like it. So let's keep on going. Yeah. I think that what we focus on is really what's important, and I'd rather spend my time on beautiful sauces than superfluous garnishes sometimes. And that's where we put our time and our effort. And I think that's what the guest is looking for nowadays.
Yeah. Are your guests, well, now, as we said, it's probably pretty impossible to get in, but are your guests mostly, or have they been visitors, tourists, or is it a mix between that and locals? What would you say?
I think we're about 60% local Japanese and people who live in Tokyo, and about 40% foreign entry. So after this, I mean, this week right now is Sakura, so it's basically all tourists, which is quite strange. But generally, we're about 60% Japanese. Yeah,
well, that's a good mix.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think COVID taught us one thing, and that's the local business is the most important business. And you know, when all the borders of the world were closed and you didn't have anyone coming to these restaurants where it was just food tourists and everybody had forgotten about the local crowd, I think that everybody learned a lesson here.
Yeah, very true, very true. So what has this award or this honor being now the number one spot, what has it meant to you? How has this week been?
I think more than anything, we just feel a greater sense of responsibility to the guests that are coming, and to ensure that they really do have a great time and they are happy when they leave, and we meet the expectations that they have. And you know, in the style of what we do things, of course, we stay true to what we set out to do. We're not going to start pivoting on certain things, but as long as people who want to come with an open mind are happy, that's all I care about.
Did you have time to dine around Seoul while you were in town?
Not really. We were there for like 2 nights. We went to Golden Pig, the pork barbecue spot, which was amazing.
I heard about it.
Yeah, it was super good. We went there. We went to a place called Ongjium, which was nice.
I went there.
Yeah. That was about it, I think. And the rest of the time I spent in the bar at the Four Seasons. It was drinking martinis.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, it was a good toss-up.
Was it your first time in Seoul?
It was. It was my first time, considering Tokyo is so close to Seoul. But yeah, I'd never been actually. But I did enjoy the city. I thought the food was great. People were great. And I thought the awards were held very well. So I look forward to go back again soon.
Yeah, me too. It was exciting to be there. I didn't realize, it was my first time in Seoul, and I didn't realize how big of a city it was. It was like,
yeah, the traffic.
I'm sorry, I live in New York City.
The traffic was terrible. That was the worst part of it. We spent so long in taxis the whole time. But I guess I should have used the train. Should have been a local, you know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So before I let you go, because I'm
Hmm.
sure you have things to do, do you want to play my speed round game? I have a
Sure.
speed round. It's fun. You can pick between some choices like chocolate or vanilla. I give you
All right.
options.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go. Eat in at home or eat out at a restaurant.
Eat at home.
Indoor dining or al fresco dining.
Al fresco. We went to Italy last year and we went to some beautiful restaurants, but the last meal we went to was some place outside of Milan. And the whole thing was al fresco and everything was cooked on like a barbecue and the wine cellar was amazing. And except for like the mosquitoes and the wasps, everything was great.
Yeah, besides that. Okay, how about wine, beer, cocktail, mocktail, or champagne?
Champagne.
Tasting menu or a la carte?
Taste menu. Because I have one.
Is your restaurant's only tasting menu, or is there an option?
Yeah, we only have one menu. Actually, we don't have a menu. We just cook what we want to, and then actually that's another thing why this restaurant's so special because we've never actually shown anybody a menu, and to win number one with a restaurant with no menu, it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
really? So at the end of the meal, do you send people home with what they had
Yeah,
if they
of course,
ask?
we type up the menu that they have and all
Okay.
that kind of stuff. But it's a huge amount of trust for people to come and not see a menu before they arrive.
Yeah, I'm down for it, but I think even nowadays that everything is online or that you can go on social
You can see
media
some examples, yeah.
and see things that a lot of people like to look and even like to know what they're gonna, well, a la carte, what they're gonna order.
Yeah.
But yeah, trust. Well, they're trusting you. Okay, how about small plates or large plates?
Small plates.
Communal table or chef's counter?
Neither. I like to sit in the corner on my own.
It's interesting because I've interviewed a few chefs recently who I feel like all of your answers have been the same. It's like campaign,
so
you want to
boring,
eat at home, and you don't want to sit with anyone.
Yeah, champagne in the bathtub alone with a small plate. That's what I want.
Fantastic. Okay, how about tipping or all-inclusive charge?
All inclusive.
Cool. Open kitchen or closed?
Open.
Is your restaurant open? I'm imagining it's not.
No, it's semi-open. We have a window. Yeah, soundproof window.
That counts for something. Okay, a few more. Sushi or sashimi?
Sushi.
Had to ask you a sort of sushi-related question for being in Tokyo in Japan. Cheese plate or dessert?
Dessert.
Okay, and last one is Manhattan, Brooklyn, Tokyo, Seoul, anywhere else you've lived, Hong Kong. What's your pick?
I've lived in some very great neighborhoods all over the world, and I lived in Williamsburg. I lived in Canal Saint-Martin in Paris. I lived in Taihang in Hong Kong, and I live in Kagurazaka in Tokyo. And they're all very, very similar vibe of the neighborhood. But if I had to choose one, I would choose Williamsburg 2009, 2010 when I was living there. Now it's too expensive, but back then it was all right.
I love that. And it's changed a lot every time I'm in Manhattan. Every time I go over.
You know? The Starbucks, the Apple Store, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of development, a lot of new high rises by the waterfront. And
yeah, it's sad. But I mean, yeah, people got to make money.
Yeah, it's changed a lot of new hotels over there too. But yeah, I like that answer though. It's good. It's a strong answer. So and the last thing I'll ask is I have a new book out called Chef Wise, which is life lessons from leading chefs around the world. And I would love to know what's your top chef advice for someone who maybe is thinking about becoming a chef or a restaurateur or, getting into this industry.
Advice. I think nowadays people are obviously with social media and stuff. It's all about self promotion and I feel like there's a lot of run before they can walk. And I would say to a lot of young chefs is like, instead of building your profile, you should probably start building your repertoire before so, and then eventually your profile will follow.
Excellent advice. Love it. So thank you so much for
Thank you
your
so
time.
much, Shari. I appreciate it.
And I look forward to meeting you in person. I saw you from a distance at the awards, but I didn't get to actually.
It was a circus. I didn't get to see anyone really. It was a real blur, and they take you away after the ceremony, and we were gone for an hour and a half or something for some media things, and which is great. But I came back and everyone had left the party, so no one was there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been now. This is my first time at Asia's 50 Best, but I went to Latin America's 50 Best, and I went to the World's 50 Best this last year too. And you're number, what was it, 37?
37. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Were you in Valencia? Okay, I missed you there, but I know they take you to the press conference, and then you're whisked away to do interviews and photos.
Totally. Yeah, it was. It's a double-edged sword, right? And I think I would love to have caught up with a lot more people in Seoul after the awards, but I'll see them again in Vegas or next year or whatever.
Yeah, and also you're a 2 Michelin star. I mean, you've received a lot of amazing accolades. So congratulations, and
thank you.
I really can't wait to get back to Tokyo and hopefully get a seat at your restaurant.
Absolutely, anytime. Just send me a message.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Shari.
Have a great. Where are you? I'm evening. Have a great day.
I'm on a Saturday. It's the weekend.
Okay, enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So I'm here with Richie Lin. He's the founder and CEO of Mume Hospitality Group, which includes Mume in Taiwan, where alongside his 2 business partners, the trio have developed novel ways of using Taiwanese produce and local ingredients in a distinctly Nordic way. I believe it's nighttime now in Taiwan, and it's the morning in New York City, and we are here connecting. Hi, Richie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. I'm Richie from Taipei, and lucky to be here and share our story with everyone.
Thank you. And we just got back from Seoul for Asia's 50 Best, and we'll talk all about that. And I'm still dealing with jet lag.
Right.
But I always like to start out with my guests and find out more about their background. So do you want to take us back to growing up and what led you to become a chef?
Yeah, so I was born in Hong Kong, actually. So we moved to Toronto, Canada, with my family when I was 12. Grew up there, study finance, economy, which is nothing to do with hospitality. And then I started cooking around 26, which was very late. And I did most of my training and work in Sydney, Australia. And then I did a short stay in Copenhagen also, back to Asia after Denmark. In 2013, I started my first restaurant in Hong Kong called Ner. And then the next year, 2014, I moved to Taiwan and started Mume, which is 10 years from now. So we're actually celebrating our 10 years anniversary for Mume this year.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm putting up an interview I did with Jeremy Chan of Akoi. So it's fresh in my mind that he started cooking at the same age, at 26, which is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan
and
of
I
him
think
as well.
he did a stint at Noma, as that's where you were in Copenhagen.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I think most people did. That's the institution,
So,
you know?
yeah, I've been there before, but I'm going back soon for their seafood season. So I've read about your story. You talk about the Nordic influence on your cuisine. Is that experience in Noma really stick with you? Is something you wanted to keep doing with your own style of cooking?
Well, I think it has to go back to my work experience in Australia as well. I was working at Key during that time,
Oh,
so I
I've
spent
been
quite
there.
a bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very deeply inspired by Chef Peter Gilmore. His style of cooking and also his philosophy towards uh, locality and also sustainability, and showcasing unique, very special indigenous ingredients from your own country. And then so that's why I was working at Key for quite a bit of time, and and then after that, which leads me to Noma, obviously, to uh, explore, which is namely number one in the world at that time for a couple of years. And like I said before, right, that's the institution, and everyone wants to work there, and it was at the peak of the game. So yeah, it just leads me there, and fortunately, I met a lot of great-minded people, great chefs, and some becomes really good friends, and even until now, and we keep in touch, and like a lot of them, a few interns or chefs that worked in Noma at the same time, and back in 2013, around that period of time, a few of them were listed also in Asia 50 Best. Some
Mm-hmm.
are Asians and they moved back to Asia, or they have restaurants and opportunity in Asia. Also, of course, some from Latin America, they also did very well. You can keep track of, like the alumni of
Yeah.
people that worked or like came across that Noma kitchen, and see how they flourish, and how they became some of the best chefs in other regions. It's fascinating to see how everyone did so well, and it was such a amazing experience, and which also deeply affected my style of cooking, and also like the evils of when I started my own restaurants, to have the social responsibilities, and also pay attention to not just the cooking itself, but the value of the restaurant, to share like that mindset of sustainability, social responsibility, and everything that we value, uh, not just the food itself, but that a restaurant can represent a lot more to the society than just serving great food. So, which I think that's the most important lesson, I guess, I learned from Peter Gilmore and also from Rene Recipe. So that's two of my mentor that
Yeah.
deeply affect my career.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned Peter. He's in my Chef Wise book as well, and I'm so happy he's a part of it. And I did dine there when I was in Australia about 10 years ago, and it was extraordinary. So that's very cool that he was a mentor for you. Okay, so tell me what led you to move to Taiwan and open a restaurant there? Like, what was the connection?
Well, in 2013, I started my first restaurant in my career as a founder, and to set up the whole team from scratch, and from creating the concept itself, finding the team members, and the funding of the restaurant, everything all together. And it was a very challenging lesson, and also fortunately I have a very very supportive uh, investor at that time, who willing to support the idea. And then so during that time, I was very fascinated with Taiwan produce, because we can get some imported produce in Hong Kong from Taiwan. And then because Hong Kong itself, it's not a big city, not a big country, if you like to call it. So agriculture is not, it's not a self-sustained. So you have to rely everything from imported products. Even the water supply is it's imported. So everything has to be import to Hong Kong. So I was really struggling to find local ingredients and to support the concept of uh, locality. Although we did some progress, but it was very tough. And then so in between some breaks or holiday on my day off, I would travel to Taiwan, and then just to begin with, it's just to take a break. But then I found out actually Taiwan was really underrated in terms of awareness of how amazing this country has to offer. How much biodiversity that people have not aware of, and the beauty of the island itself, because Taiwan is just basically a big island with lots of mountains. So um, yeah, and then so I just have that in the back of my mind, and like if I would have a restaurant that's fully funded and owned by myself, I would definitely pick Taiwan. And then so yeah, and then so I just did it the year after in 2014. I just moved there and started a small, relatively much smaller projects, because at that time that's what I can afford to do, and the rest is just history.
So 10 years ago, you opened Mume. What's the concept? Like, what does the name mean? Where does that come from?
Mume is the Latin name of plum blossom, which is the national flower of Taiwan. So I really wanted to, use this as a symbol of representing Taiwan to the rest of the world, and also like I want to embrace the idea of showcasing the beauty of Taiwan, not just the culture itself, but also the indigenous products and the people and the ingredients itself. So incorporate everything into the restaurants and my cooking, and that's why I named it after the national flower.
Nice. And how big is the restaurant? How many seats do you have?
It's a relatively small restaurant. It's only 28 seats, and then on top of that, we have a private room can seat about 10 people. So at max, we can do about 38 covers per night.
I need to come. I'm so glad I got to meet you in Seoul, but now I'm like figuring out when am I going to get to Taiwan and get to experience your food at your restaurant. Let me ask you my question. My guest on episode 382, because I asked her to ask you a question, and we both said we were kind of mad about that. We haven't been to Taiwan. So I had on Nilu Mohammed. She's an Emmy-nominated TV personality who's been named one of Adweek's most 30 influential people in food. She's been shaping the conversation in food and travel for more than 20 years. So she wants to know if you could give us the elevator pitch for what Taiwanese food is and what it is that you find so special about the ingredients. And she noted a bit about how she's here in New York City as well. And we have some Taiwanese restaurants, and like we're somewhat, I think, familiar with Taiwanese food, at least what we're experiencing here. But since we haven't been to your restaurant, we haven't been to Taiwan, tell us about it. So that's the
Does
question.
Does it have to be an elevator's pitch? So like finish them.
No, I mean, maybe the short elevator pitch, but please feel free to expand.
Well, I mean, if you have to talk about Taiwanese food and culture, I think to keep it short, it's all about diversity, because Taiwan, majority of the people are from Chinese background, but Taiwan has gone through such a unique history. Is there were Dutch people here, there were Spanish people here, and then it was it was a Japanese colony for 50 years. And then then again came the Chinese people, which mostly migrated from the southern part of China. So the food and the culture itself, it's very diverse. It's just, I mean, you can compare just Taiwanese food to like Cantonese food or Fujian food or Hakka food, uh, which is still totally different because um, it's just evolved over the year. And then the preference and the climates of here, the ingredients are different. So it just slowly evolved into a very unique blend. It's Chinese food, but with a little bit of Japanese influence, and there's a bit of unique blend of the tropical climate from the southern part of Taiwan. And then on top of that, there's 16 different tribes of Aboriginal people in Taiwan, which came thousands of years before even the Spanish people were here. So the unique Aboriginal culture of eating, and also like how to incorporate the local ingredients and even foraging or like preserving food. Those little bit of blend that blend into the Taiwanese daily life. It's really shape, I think, Taiwanese culture and the food culture itself. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly what is Taiwanese cuisine, because the form and the look of it, it's still very very Chinese. And then we still eat dumplings, we still eat bao, we still eat rice and noodles, but it's just like no others. It's just a unique blend of different history and culture to shape what Taiwanese food is today.
Well, that makes sense, and that's interesting. Do you have any dishes on your menu that are your signature dishes or things that you can never take off? You also are seasonally driven. Do you change the menu often?
Yeah, we change based on the ingredient itself, because our menu is quite ingredient driven. So sometimes if we are running out of one ingredient, we just we have no choice but to change the dish. So we don't have a set timeline of like say, oh, every 3 months we have to change the whole menu. But instead we just naturally evolve with the season. So like we change one dish maybe in a week, and then maybe the next month we have two three dishes that we have to change, and it's just kind of come organically. In the beginning, we serve a la carte menu, which is of course a lot easier to swap dishes and change. But now we offer a tasting menu, so we just adapt, and then we just change according to what's the season and what we can get.
Is there a dish that you're most known for?
Um, I don't know.
Not really.
Not really. I mean, recently I think that's one dish that I like it a lot, and it's one of my favorite dish that which I showcase on the 50 Best Talk. It's
Oh, good. Good segue.
yeah, it's a abalone dish which incorporate one of my favorite Taiwanese traditional dish. And then so it's my interpretation of fermented pineapple, bitter melon, and chicken consomme. That was the original Taiwanese dish, and then so I take that inspiration and then turn it into one of our, I guess, recent signature dish.
Cool. Well, I'm glad I got to be there at the talk and try that. Let's talk about Asia's 50 Best, because
Yeah,
it's so cool to see you there. And congratulations on your number 34 spot on the list.
thank
It's a
you.
big deal. And you were very involved, I think, in the awards, because I know you did a collaboration dinner. You were one of the speakers at the 50 Best Talks, and there weren't that many speakers. There were only like 6, 7 speakers. And then you were at the awards. So the 50 Best Talks, you were part of a presentation with fermentation, which was great.
Right.
Was that something the 50 Best approached you about doing, or was more your thoughts of like something you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, they have the outline of the topics already. And then so when the 50 Best reached out to me and said, "Oh, are you interested in sharing a little bit about fermentation?" I'm like, "Of course," because that's a big part of our cooking and obviously a big part of Chinese cooking and culture and as well. Um, I'm very fortunate to be part of the 50 Best family. So this is our eighth consecutive year to be part of Asia 50 Best, and
Yeah.
I'm still very honored to be just part of it. And so over the years we have built a lot of friendships, lots of good friends. Some become business partner, some becomes brothers, sisters, and like it's just a big community that everyone being very supportive, and then everyone just enjoy hanging out together. Yeah, so very happy to be part of it.
What was that like when you first got recognized or you were first on the list? Were you surprised when you were, like, I guess, discovered in Taiwan?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I never thought that we'll get the attention from 50 Best or international diners. Well, obviously I have a objective, or I have a goal that I want to showcase uh, the Taiwanese ingredient to the rest of the world. But I didn't I didn't thought that 50 Best would appreciate and also like discover what Taiwan has to offer. So I guess I was right at that time 10 years ago when Taiwan, no one really talks about Taiwanese cuisine or Taiwanese fine dining or Taiwanese dining scene was still very unheard of, because at that time you have Singapore, you have Bangkok, you have Hong Kong is so strong, and also very international cities. Yeah, I never thought that Taiwan would become part of an important dining destination in terms of fine dining and Taiwanese, like or even a travel destination for food lovers. So I'm very happy to be part of it, and yeah, I was shocked because we really never thought that we'll be part of the list. Yeah.
And here you are. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I mean, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. It was very cool to be there and a part of the celebration. And I love just seeing and being a part of the community, because I see the relationships that you and the other chefs have, and it feels a bit like it's a reunion, or it's just like getting together with your friends and supporting each other, and it's really nice.
It's
So, and
amazing.
so
Yeah,
talk a
it's
little.
amazing. Go on,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I know you're like seeing your friends around the world who are doing amazing things with food and their restaurants, and there's obviously friendships that have been built around this, and a lot of talent. A lot of talent was in Seoul. I mean, Seoul. It was
Yes.
very cool to be there and meet so many chefs. And so thank you for the introductions. I met a bunch of people through you, and talk about the collaboration you did a little bit, because I didn't get to attend it, but I saw you at the prep. So
Yeah, it was because the restaurant only have 12 seats, so I guess they got fully booked very early.
yeah, it's all good.
It's a
I had a wonderful.
small restaurant. We
But
had
I
lots of
did.
fun.
So it was two other chefs that
It
you
was it
collaborate
was
with.
at Tangerman, which is Dan Kim's restaurant. He also
Yeah,
had right next door was Seven Door, which is part of the 50
which I went.
Best Asia 50 Best this year, and they I think they did really well on the ranking itself also. And yeah, I've known Chef Dan for many years already. Been to all of his restaurants, and I really admire his cooking and his work on preserving the Korean culture. So when he asked me if I'm happy to be part of his signature session, which is a collaboration dinner with his friends. Of course, I say yes straight away. And on top of that, he also invited Sayu Hasegawa from Den in Tokyo. I did countless of event with him already. We are like family, so I don't know. I think at least probably 10 times we have did these sort of events, like 4 hands, 6 hands, 8 hands. I don't know. I lost count on how many hands, but we have did so many amazing events together, and we just did Implicit last year in Ordine, Italy last year together. Just last October, we were there together cooking with Diego Rossi from Trippa, and then um, yeah, we are just really you know uh, like brothers and family. So yeah, for me, it's just really happy to cook with them anytime, and it's just very enjoyable. We don't have to plan a lot of like menu planning and meetings and stuff. We just kind of like, oh, okay, what do we want to cook? Just order some ingredients in, and we kind of just go with the flow and be very spontaneous and change things you know on the
On the
spot.
fly.
And yeah, so it was really fun to cook with someone that you can trust, and also like someone you're so familiar with. And so that's a very unique feeling as well. And yeah, so I'm happy to be cooking with any one of them any time of the year. So
Yeah, it's amazing. And I was just looking, Seventh Door was 18 on the list this year, and Den number 8. So, yes, you all did very well. I had a great lunch at Seventh Door, so I was glad I got a seat for that because,
yeah,
there aren't a lot of seats. I love seeing the collaborations and the friendships, and the fact that, yeah, you guys are all super talented and excel in what you're doing, so you can kind of wing it, I guess, or get
yeah. I
together
mean,
and
that's
just
the
cook.
fun part, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes when you
yeah,
have everything so planned, it's like it's kind of you know. I mean, it's good in a way. I mean, there's of course the pros and cons, right? Like, but not
right.
that not that because we're not prepared. It's just we are prepared in a different way. So it allows us to have flexibility, and so we can kind of let that let that cooking to be spontaneous,
Hmm.
because we know each other so well. Um, yeah, but that's part of the reason that we enjoy doing this type of event so much is spontaneous, part of it, because
Right.
you don't have to cook the same thing, like you just repeatedly cook the same dish every time. When you go to the different country, it's still the same dish. um yeah, so that's the reason we wanted to do it this way.
Yeah, it's great. And I think guest expectations, they're just excited to have your food, and they're not coming in expecting a dish that you're known for from your restaurant. So you can have fun with it that way too, as a collaboration, with expectations being different. So any other major highlights for you from being in Seoul? There were some good parties.
Yeah, of course, lots of great food, lots of booths. They Koreans are big
Yeah.
drinkers, and there's no shortage of alcohol and parties. And yeah, of course, that's a big fun part of it. Yeah, happy to be back to the city after COVID, because my last visit was end of 2019. So this is my first visit after, which is 4 years already. Yeah, just happy to be back and seeing new restaurants and try new restaurants, and to see friends and to taste all the nice food again.
Yeah, it was great to be there for my first time, and the food was great, and the people were great. So we're going to play my speed round. Before we do, one other question, just because you're part of my Chef Wise book, which you sign. Thank you so much. This is my prized copy, and I love having you a part of it. And so if you could share with listeners, like, what's your top advice for young chefs or people thinking of getting into the industry and wanting to be a chef or restaurateur? I know you're in several chapters of the book, so there's a lot of advice of yours in the book, but like a top tip, if you can give one.
Well, I'm gonna say something that I didn't talk about in the book, obviously, so people can buy the book and see the
Okay.
other advice that I gave.
That's great. I love it.
I guess for young chefs, right? My number one advice is always have a long term goal. Don't be too short sighted, because for young people, and then obviously I have a lot of young colleagues that work in our companies, and they tend to have a very short attention span, and then and also they really wanted to try new things. I totally understand, but to be able to have a longer term goal and then have a plan to work towards it really help you to understand your career path and to be able to save time, um, and then also it leads you to the right direction most of the time. Like when you are unclear, just zoom out, right? Look at your long-term goal and look further, rather than just uh, spend a couple months there, spend a few years here, and then at the end of the day, it's not really what you're looking for. So, I mean, time is your single most important and expensive resources that you can have. So, plan ahead and have long-term goal, and work smarter. So, yeah, that's
Awesome.
my most important advice, I guess.
It's great advice, of course. So thank you. Okay, so time for my speed round. Are you ready to play my little game?
I'll try.
You're gonna be great. What this is I'm just gonna name a couple things, and you get to pick your preference, such as chocolate or vanilla. So it's easy.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, I'm
ready.
ready.
Here we go. Eat in at home or eat out at a restaurant.
Eat in at home.
Indoor dining or al fresco dining.
Indoor.
Okay. Wine, beer, cocktail, mocktail, or champagne.
Champagne.
Tasting menu or a la carte.
Tasting menu.
Small plates or large plates.
Small plate.
Okay, small. Um, Communal table or chef's counter.
Chef's counter.
How about tipping or all-inclusive charge? I don't know what you guys do there in Taiwan. It's not a
In
tipping
Taiwan,
culture.
it's all inclusive. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I like tipping. Yeah.
Okay,
I like
okay.
tipping. Yeah.
A few more. Open kitchen or closed kitchen.
Closed kitchen, so I can yell at the staff.
Yeah, I can see you as a big screamer. How about doing a collaboration dinner or being a guest speaker? Do you prefer one or the other?
Cooking. Yeah.
Okay. Last two are cheese plate or dessert.
Dessert.
And Manhattan, Brooklyn, Seoul, or Taipei.
Taipei, of course.
Yay, of course. Of course. Awesome. That was the game. You're fast.
All right.
How many of your clientele at your restaurant? I'm just curious. Is that mostly? Are you more locals or international travelers at this point?
At Mume, we have more international travelers, foreigners. Yeah. I would say 60-40. So 60% from
Yeah,
abroad and then 40% local diners.
it's a good mix, I think. That you
Yeah,
have
I think
both.
it's a
Yeah.
very good mix. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Congratulations. It's been awesome to chat with you and to meet you in person. And I'm going to throw this out you, but I don't mean to catch you off guard, but I booked my next guest coming up, and I want to see maybe if you can ask them a question. I'm going to have on my show Alain Ducasse, which he probably doesn't need an introduction. He's legendary chef. He became the first chef to have 3 restaurants awarded with 3 Michelin stars at the same time. So that's a little fun fact. And he's the author of a new book that just came out that I have here called Good Taste, A Life of Food and Passion. So we'll be talking to him about this. I think I'm going to have an interpreter. So if you could or wouldn't mind, Richie, could you ask a question for Alain Ducasse?
Wow, that's such a privilege.
I need help with this
to even
interview.
to even to even ask him a question. You know, he's like the GOAT, greatest of all time. What I mean, definitely he's, you know.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. I'm kind of in awe that I'm going to be interviewing him.
Well, I
but
guess if I have to
I'm
ask him a
excited.
question is, Chef Alain Ducasse, when is your visit to Taiwan?
That's a great question.
Or are
Yeah,
you interested in having a restaurant in here?
I will
That
ask
would
him
be,
both.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder if I wonder if he's been to Taiwan, but maybe not. I don't know. You would probably know.
I think he has been to Taiwan. Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
Well,
I think he's
if
been
he hasn't,
invited to one of the restaurant opening a few years ago in Taiwan, but I don't know how long he stayed.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out. He's going to be here in New York City. He's doing some events with his book. I've never met him before. Obviously, I know who he is and of him, and um, I'm excited to have this conversation. It's going to
Well,
be
I'm excited to see
yeah.
what's the the podcast and your interview as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, thank you so much. Again, so wonderful to meet you. I appreciate you, appreciate your time. And I'm not just saying it, I'm going to have to figure out when I'm coming to visit you because I really would like to experience your restaurant and see your city and your country and like just experience Taiwan.
Yeah, looking
So,
forward to your visit and absolutely honored to be part of your podcast. And yeah, it's very nice to finally meet you in person in Seoul as well. So thank you so much for having me.
thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And I look forward to seeing wherever I see you next. And
All right,
yeah,
keep in
so
touch.
thanks and have a good night's sleep as I start my day.
All right.
Okay.
Once again, thank you
Bye.
so much. We'll speak
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Welcome back to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host and producer, Sherry Bayer, and this is my special on the road show from Asia's 50 Best Restaurants 2024, which took place in Seoul, South Korea. I hope you enjoyed my interviews. I truly enjoyed talking to all of the chefs and appreciate their time. And again, the awards were on March 26th, and there were several events that took place in Seoul surrounding the award ceremony. And I went to as much as I could, and I really enjoyed everything from the talks to the awards themselves and the delicious meals that I had in Seoul. So I'm very grateful that I was able to attend, and thank you, Asia's 50 Best. And again, congratulations to all of the chefs and everyone involved in this fantastic production. So guess what? It's now time for my solo dining experience. So this week it's at Mingles. Here's the rundown. The location, 19 Dosan Daro, 67 Gil, Gangnam-gu in Seoul, South Korea, and it's on the second floor. The concept, mingling contrasting elements into harmony, inspired by and respecting traditional Korean cuisine. The goal is to show a new way of Korean cuisine. The chef and owner, Minggu Kang. So why'd I go? Well, it's an award-winning restaurant. It has 2 Michelin stars, recommended by many people, including my friend and extraordinary restaurateur Elia Park of Automix, which is currently number 8 on the world's 50 best list, which she runs with her husband, Chef J.P. Park, who's also in my Chef Wise book. So it was on their list. It was on a lot of people's lists, so it was on my list. So that's why I went. My experience. So I made a reservation for 1. Was able to secure that for a dinner. And it was a rainy night in Seoul, and I actually had a hard time getting a car to pick me up to go, and I was running a little late, and I was at a coffee shop, and I actually made a new friend there named Franklin, who kindly called the restaurant for me and helped me get a taxi, because I didn't realize how difficult it would be during the rain at rush hour in Seoul. But saying that out loud, of course, that makes sense. So thank you, Franklin. He called the restaurant, told them I was running late. And when I arrived, I was warmly greeted. I was seated at a spacious table towards the, back end of the restaurant. And my meal was a 14-course tasting menu. Manager and sommelier Lee Haeon Jae was lovely, as well as his whole team. I feel I got to know him a little bit just in our conversation, and I got to meet Chef Minggu at the end, and he actually gifted me with his new book that just came out, and more about that coming up. So I had a really lovely experience from start to finish. So what did I get? So some of the courses of this tasting menu were sweet potato rice cake and chestnut soup, Korean seasonal raw fish, Hanu beef tartare, mingling pot with seafood morel and hanwoo cabbage mandu, Jeju fish, sticky rice risotto, Handon sundae with Korean beef, bibimbap, and a dessert was sweet pumpkin rice meringue. It was his choice with desserts too, and everything else was just a part of the menu. So my take, it was all wonderful. I think many of those dishes I just named were some of my favorites or highlights, including the Jeju fish and the sticky rice risotto. I also loved strawberry Sancho pepper caviar. And it just was a terrific tasting menu. So the ambiance, it's spacious, minimalistic, it has earth tones, and it's comfortable yet elegant, I would say. And it's in this building on the second floor that's on the corner of a kind of hilly street and very popular area. I was surprised there are hills. I think I'm always surprised when there's hills, I have to say, probably because I grew up in Miami where it's flat. So I'd say it's perfect for dining solo or with friends or on a date. Interesting tidbit. So Mingles is currently number 13 on Asia's 50 best list, and that means it's the highest ranked restaurant on the list that's in Korea. So congratulations. It's also number 89 on the world's 50 best 2023 list. And as I mentioned, Minggu has a new cookbook out that was recently published in March 2024. It's called Jang, The Soul of Korean Cooking. And his co-authors are Joshua David Stein and Nadia Cho. And Joshua David Stein is a friend of mine. He's been on this show before. He's done a lot of books, and he's a really great writer. So it's nice to see they collaborated. And also his introduction of the book was by Eric Repair, who's a chef-wise chef. And he was doing a little tour with his book in New York City and LA right before the awards. Sort of just missed him. But he was back for the awards and there for my dinner. And he gifted me with his book when I was leaving. So I had brought an extra copy of Chefwise with me to Seoul, and I decided on my last day in Seoul to just swing by the restaurant at lunch and give a copy of my Chefwise book to Minggu and sign it for him. So he signed a copy for me, I signed a copy for him, and it was a really nice book exchange. And it was nice to see him again before leaving town. So Minggu had trained at Martin Baristagu in San Sebastian, Spain, a place I dined many years ago, and it was wonderful. And he had also worked at Nobu in Miami and the Bahamas. So those are my interesting tidbits there. Personal fun fact. Okay, so here we go. Here are the places I ate in Seoul, or at least most of them. So I went to Born and Bred, which is number 64 in the list. It's a meat-tastic tasting menu. It's about 21 courses. I mean, a lot of meat, but it was delicious. And I went solo. Actually, almost all of these I went solo. I went to Onjeom, which is number 21 on the list, and the chefs are Jo Unshi and Sungbei Park. And Sunbae gave me a nice tour of their building. The restaurant is on the 4th floor, and they have different concepts on each level, including ceramics on one and clothing on the other. And it was very cool to see the whole production they have going on. So thank you for the tour. I also went to 7th Door, which is Daechun Kim's restaurant, and that was terrific. And that is where I saw Richie Lin as he was there prepping for a collaboration dinner that he was doing at the chef's other restaurant with him and Zazu Hasagawa of Den in Tokyo, who I got to meet as well. And that was really awesome. I had a great afternoon. I also went by Guang Market and I had mung bean cake by a woman who was making the most beautiful pancakes in the middle of the market. Very casual. Basically sat on a little upside down bucket in the middle of the market and enjoyed this street food. I also had chicken barbecue at Yoon Wago, and I had Korean beef soup at an 80-year-old restaurant called Hangdong Kwan. A few times I had KFC or Korean fried chicken, some at the chef after parties, and I went to a place called BHC to check out their version, all delicious. I had 2 omakase lunches. I went to Sushi Nuha and Sushi Ariake. The second was at the Shilla Hotel, and the first was recommended by Sung Bae of Onjeom, and it was all locals there and me. Both places were all locals, actually, and so I love that. I love when I don't feel like a tourist, even though I am a tourist. All of these meals were solo. I did do a group dinner at Koja Cha with Kate Crater and Stephen Hall and some friends from New York and London and in the industry, and I happened to figure out that they were in Seoul at the same time, so we went to this Michelin star restaurant together, and the food is Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, hence the name Koja Cha. And that was great. I also went solo to Etonic Garden at Joseon Palace, a tasting menu restaurant that's number 62 on Asia's 50 Best list, and it has a Michelin star, and the chef is Sun Jong Wan. He wasn't there that night because he was doing collaboration elsewhere, but I had a really fantastic meal. It's on a top floor of this hotel. I had a spectacular view of the city, and I got to see the sunset. I also had additional Korean beef barbecue. I went to this place called Mongtan to get the galbi or the short ribs. You had to get an order too, and I did because I was solo. So you got to do what you got to do. I also had drinks at a bar called Zest, which is number 5 on Asia's 50 Best Bars, and it's number 18 on the world's best bars list, and it's known for sustainable fine drinking. And I got to meet the co-founder, Demi Kim, And I also met a bartender from Malaysia named Joe, and that was cool. And also at one of the after parties, I met the chef from Jung Sink in Seoul, and they have a spot in New York City too. And they were doing a special chef dinner at the awards, and Zess was doing the drinks. Did not get to go to that, but I heard it was fabulous. Desserts, I had desserts at Cafe Onion and Thai Guk Dang, which is the iconic oldest bread house since 1946. It's near my hotel, which was nice, and I got some treats there. I had coffee at a place called Mac Cafe, and there were a lot of coffee shops in Seoul. I had more coffee than just that one time. Okay, so as a tourist, I also went by Gyeongbong Palace and Gyeongbong Palace. Sorry, I'm not saying those names right. I went to the spot, the Shilla Seoul, and finally I went by a bookstore, Kyobo. They had my Chef Voice book in the system, but it wasn't at the store itself, but that's okay. It was cool to see it on their computer. And I went by the Starfield Library, which is kind of an iconic place to go, a part of a mall. And yes, I do a lot when I travel. I can't help myself. It's just, I'm there. I want to experience as much as I can. And I purposely got to Seoul a couple days early so I could eat my way through the city, because who knows when I'll get back. So I did the best I could. I think I did pretty well. All my meals were fantastic, and great hospitality, and communication was pretty good everywhere. For the most part, people spoke English or got a sense of what I was saying. Okay, so the cost of my meal at Mingles was 332,000 South Korean won, which is 241 US dollars approximately. Would I go back? Yes, for sure. Website is restaurant.mingles.com, Instagram at Mingles_restaurant, and at Mingles Seoul. Okay, so there you go. That's the show. Thank you so much to the entire team of Asia's 50 Best Restaurants and the world's 50 Best Restaurants for having me to be a part of this celebration, to the city of Seoul for welcoming us, and to all of the chefs who joined me on this episode today: Peter Kwong Franklin, Yoshihiro Narasawa, Dave Pint, Jordi Navarra, Daniel Calvert, and Richie Lynn. Thank you all so much, and big congratulations. Thanks to William Drew, Tim Brooke-Webb, Erica Schechter, Ariel Tay, and the Food News team, and everyone with Asia's 50 Best and the world's 50 Best. I really enjoyed being a part of it, and just happy for everyone. So thank you all, and again, huge congratulations. But to find out more about the awards and see all of the winners and different storytelling by Asia's 50 Best, because they do provide a lot of amazing content, go to theworlds50best.com and follow on Instagram at theworlds50best, hashtag Asia's 50 Best, and you'll see amazing pictures, videos, stories, and you'll feel the excitement through the gram. And you can, as always, follow me at Sherry Bayer, at Bayer PR, and at All Industry. My Facebook page is All in the Industry. My websites are BayerPublicRelations.com, SherryBayer.com, and AllInTheIndustry.com. All of our shows are archived at heritageradionetwork.org. We are also at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you haven't already, check out my new book, Chef Wise: Life Lessons from Leading Chefs Around the World. Just celebrated my 1-year publishing date anniversary in the UK, which was April 20th, 2024. So that's exciting. Book has been out for a year, and it's available wherever books are sold. Thanks to my wonderful engineer, Armin, and thanks again to everyone involved in Asia's 50 Best Restaurants. And congratulations again to all of the chefs and their teams. I'm so happy for all of you and honored to be a part of the celebration. I'm your host and producer, Sherry Bayer. My next show will be with the legendary chef, Alain Ducasse. Can't wait to share that episode with all of you. I'm also looking forward to covering the the World's 50 Best Restaurants 2024 in Las Vegas coming up in June. I have an interview that I will be doing ahead of the awards with Tim Brooke Webb, who is the managing director for the World's 50 Best, and I'm excited to chat with him. So stay tuned for that as well. And in the meantime, I hope you stay safe and well and are enjoying the spring. And as always, thank you for being part of All in the Industry. Bye.
All in the Industry is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
Hey, it's Francis Lamb, host of The Splendid Table. Every week on our show, we talk about food and cooking and the meanings of food and cooking. We talk with the most interesting people in food about their techniques, their culture, and everything in between. Whether it's about how fried chicken took over the world or how Instagram changes the way people are actually eating. It's a food show where everyone is welcome. Come join us. You can listen to The Splendid Table wherever you get your podcasts.